because this is a good one. Good morning, everybody. It's the Monday morning coaching call with Coach Randy Byrd, and I've got a good-looking group here so far. And I want to do any ahas, any takeaways, or any wins that you've had in the last week or so. And I know Christian had one. Can you go ahead and start, Christian, and we'll go to Anna.
Sure. Yes, I did the video texting last week. Each day of the week, I video text 10 people, and I have three buyer consults this week.
From 1 week. I love that. And you just hit the wrong button and lost me. So she'll be back in a minute. But so what we have her doing is the simplest thing. I'll have her explain it, but just videoing herself to buyers and sellers talking about a video text, right? Watch. You got so excited you hit the wrong button?
I guess so. I was trying to mute myself and I left y'all. Sorry.
You don't have to mute yourself. So how many were you sending out per day?
I did 10.
Okay, perfect. Very manageable, right? 10 video, and you're doing them on your iPhone or at something super special with a studio and lights and cameras and microphones,
literally
right?
just holding my phone like this. And...
Wait, that doesn't work. It can't work. You need a studio, you need lights, you need makeup, you need to look like Jason and I, right? No, just a simple, your own phone pointing it at yourself and talking. So give us an idea what the message sounds like.
So what I utilized last week was I videoed a couple of things on Facebook, and anyone that liked the post or that messaged me about the post, I used them. So I just went through the likes on my Facebook and got really good responses. I just basically said, hey, it's Christian. I just wanted to say hi. Thank you so much for liking my post. And then I noticed something about their Facebook page, said something about that, and hope you have a good day. That was it.
All right. I love that. And I want to applaud you, first of all, that it worked, and it does work. And the Facebook Messenger is very, very clean in the way it operates, right? You have a limited time. I think it's 15 seconds on Facebook Messenger. So you got to get your point across quickly. You can't babble. But it could also be something as little as, hey, I was just thinking of you. You know, you're a buyer in this market. There's some amazing things going on. There's a lot of bad information. Let's connect real quick, right? So Facebook Messenger is amazing because it keeps you in that little limited window. And I find it valuable. But you can always go to your text and then have an unlimited time that you could send them a message. What I love about Facebook is it's like a catalog forever, right? You can start going through there and use Facebook lists. If you haven't used that, super powerful. And what it is, it's basically like a Rolodex in Facebook where you could say, these are friends, these are buyers, these are sellers. You can categorize them to buyer in 2020, buyer in 2021, buyer 2022. Allows you to go back into these lists and have time-sensitive conversations with them purposefully. Really powerful on the video side. So congratulations, Christian. That's a big win. And to get 3 buyer consults from 1 week's worth of work is pretty powerful, right? Mathematically, you can see the leverage of that. Awesome. Good job. You can mute now just in case, Christian. Thank you. Don't hang up. Anna Maria.
So I did ended up doing the open houses at the new listing, super cute condo in Waikiki. I had hitting the market. I did the door knocking to the neighbors to invite them to the open house. I actually took the homeowners with me because they're moving to Mexico and they'll be joining my team as agents in Mexico.
I love it.
We didn't do the contest. We just invited them to the open house and apologized for the inconvenience. And had an awesome open house, 1 offer on the table, and I'm writing another offer as well.
Nice. And so that's very expensive to do open houses. What was your budget for that open house?
My husband.
Yeah, exactly. That's very expensive, actually. But you see my point. I want you to think about something right now. In a turning market, which we're not turning, we're not shifting, we shifted, right? So it's shifted. And so in that market, we want to be really conscious of leading with revenue-based activity, check equity, or sweat equity, right? Door knocking, sweat equity. Farm, check equity. Open houses, sweat equity. right? Running fancy Facebook posts and doing all these things, or check equity. So if you have the ability to leverage check equity, then do that. But if you don't have any listings, if you don't have any buyers, if you don't have any escrows, you should be doing all sweat equity, in my opinion. I've talked to agents every week to go, oh, I just signed up for Zillow because the market's crashing here and I need more leads. I'm like, bad thing. It can work, but that's not, if you're not leading with check or sweat equity, right? Let me, Nikita, I'm going to mute. If you're not leading with sweat equity until your calendar's full, that's not the place to start putting check equity into it. Okay, everybody understand that? You have to lead with that sweat equity until you get to a buffer of your ceiling of what you can accomplish during the week. And that may mean picking up the phones, doing the scary things that we haven't had to do the last couple of years. So quick show of hands, who's been in the market over 10 years? Okay, so about half the people. Who's been in the market 4 years? Okay, 3 years. 2 years? Under 2 years. Okay, so it seems like everybody's in about that 5-year range, right? We've got a couple over 10. But 2012 is 10 years ago. We still were in a pretty good market in 2012. We were coming out of 2009 crash. So 2012 was still kind of wonky for those that have been in the business for a long time. But really, type in chat, when do you think the market changed from the 2009 crash? When do you feel that the market turned around and then we've been on this kind of upward slope since then? Type in chat real quick when you think it happened. Okay, I'm gonna say it was 2012 myself. Something flying around in here. Okay, so 2011, 12, everybody feels the same, right? Over 50, 60% of the call, just that little call today, weren't in that market at that time. So they don't know anything different but what this market has looked like. So when we look at the market of even 2016, 17, it was still in an upward trajectory. And in 2019, every expert in the industry predicted a crash, right? So if you recall, prior to COVID, everybody was like, crash is coming, prepare, batten down the hatches, get tight on expenses. Tom Ferry's summit I went to in 2019, he goes, winter is coming, big letters across the top of the stage. Winter is coming, prepare, 2019. And it was coming. Every indicator was there, the leading indicators that the market was reaching a pivotal point of crashing. And then what happened? We hit COVID and it disrupted everything. It disrupted it very negatively for a while, but then all of a sudden it supercharged the market because people were like, I can't work from home. I never liked this house anyway. I need a home office. I need a backyard and a patio where I could have my own atmosphere and family and not have to go out there, right? So remodeling took off. Home Depot and everybody had record profits through COVID and the recovery of COVID. But the mentality changed of how we operate, what's necessary, right? We used to be able to commute maybe an hour max from, let's just say where I'm at to Portland's about an hour. So if that's where all the jobs are, I don't mind that 1 hour commute. But now with Zoom and everything that's happened, they're 2, 3, sometimes more hours away from their employment because they only got to go in once a week now or never. So everything happened to change in the real estate market. For those that have not been through this, we need to understand these cycles. So really, in my opinion, we just got delayed a few years before what was inevitably happening in 2019. And so now from 2019 to 2022, look what's happened. We've supercharged the market. We've appreciated at 18, 20% per year, super inflated over what we saw in 2019, right? Again, I'm gonna say it loud and proud. I am not talking doom and gloom. I am not the guy that thinks the world's coming to an end. I'm historically speaking of what to expect. Winter is coming. We are now in fall. The leaves are falling. Winter is coming. prepare and just outproduce your problems. Today I did a Monday Morning Mojo that I do every week. I try to Monday Morning Mojo. And it basically, I was saying that get out of the narrative of what's going on in the world. If you go to social media right now, you're going to get bombarded with, I'm an expert. The market is crashing. Rates are going, the market is crashing. Cryptos, everything's bad. Get out of that narrative and understand that somebody in your market is going to have their best year ever next year. Is it you, or is it the guy at the end of the hall that's got his door shut and his blinds drawn because he's busy? He's making his calls. He's getting to work. He's being proactive. He's actually working like you need to in this real estate business. We are unfortunately going to see, and fortunately, we're going to see, my humble opinion, 300,000 agents leave the market in the next 12 months. Okay, definitely over the next 24 months, we're going to see a churn from our highest we've ever seen, 1.6 million agents in the US, down to probably around 1.1 or 1.2 million agents. That's reality. That happens every time we hit a recession or we hit a downturn in the economy. They're going to hold on this year and then cancel their license at the end of the year because the MLS dues come in January. That's just historically what happens. I don't want anybody on this call or anybody watching this call to be one of those people. That's all I'm asking, right? And so you're plugging in. I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about the ones that are not plugging in. So within that, and I would encourage you to go to my Facebook or wherever I posted it everywhere and watch that little short. I don't know how long it was, Nikita, maybe 8 minutes. I think you processed it for me.
It's 5 minutes.
What is it?
5 minutes, just over 5 minutes.
I said all that shit in 5 minutes. That's pretty impressive. But the reality is the message is clear, right? Focus on your narrative, focus on who you're spending your time with, be prospecting based, marketing enhanced, and then focus on your full-time workday, whatever you can contribute to real estate. And there's no holy grail. Like Christian, she did videos, 10 a day. That's a great number of videos. It's very manageable. It's still personalized. And, some of the greatest things I've done are video messages to people in a personal nature, right? I had an EXP agent this morning go, my God, you're so, what did she say? It wasn't predictable. It was, you're so consistent. For 4 years, I've sent her a birthday message every single year. And then when she responds to it, I send back, depending on how well I know them, I send back a message or I send back a video. If it's anybody that's in my circle, and it's hundreds, right? Anybody on this call, for instance, if it's your birthday and I send you a message from Facebook, it's coming from India, just FYI. But as soon as you acknowledge it, as soon as you said, thank you, Randy, or anything, a thumbs up, anything, then I take over. And if it's one of my people, I do this, I make it personalized. I go, hey, it's Randy. You're way too important for a text message. I wanted to send you a video and say, happy birthday. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're in my circle, whatever it may be. And that's my personal touch on that particular thing. But I can't do that on the front end. I need to leverage that out on the front end because of so many, 5,000 friends mathematically, 365 days a year. It's somewhere around 15 people a day have birthdays on Facebook, correct? So out of those 15, everybody gets a message because I've created a system that allows me to stay consistent. And I looked at this one gal and she goes, I'm an EXP now, but thank you for the birthday message. And I go, it's all right. You're still in, matter of fact, now you're my family, you're EXP, right? And so it doesn't matter, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, whatever it is, you still have that family that you have around you. So again, mindset is critical right now. Get out of the narrative that you're focusing on all the possible things that could go wrong, because we know 90% of those will never happen. Factual, right? This is not like, it may not happen. This is factual. 90% of the things we think about don't happen. And if you did already watch my video this morning, you're going to hear me say something I say a lot. We're pre-programmed for that. We have to preserve ourselves, fight or flight. We have a 200,000-year-old monkey brain, right? We have a primal brain. And if you understand that, then you can start building off of that and reframing the narrative around it. Because when we woke up in the morning, the first thing we did is look around to see if we were safe. And then we walk outside to make sure our family is safe outside the cave. This is how it was. And there's tigers and lions and snakes and things trying to eat us. And we're in a fight or flight constantly, right? And you know how you walk down an alley or something, you hear a loud noise and you run first, then you turn around like, what am I running from? I don't even know what it was. That's just a prime focus on a place of preservation for our safety first. But I promise you, this is not a saber-toothed tiger trying to kill you. It's a phone, right? And your video you don't have to look like the broadcaster from Channel 7. Just be you, be authentically, organically you. Because that is what people come to know and come to love. And I'm giving you permission on this call today. It sounds strange, but it's okay if you offend 50% of the people. It's okay if you're not a good fit for 50% of the people, because the other 50% are going to be your tribe. They're going to be people that will walk on fire for you if you create raving fans for you, right? Raving fans are what you're looking for. Can you have 100% raving fans? It's impossible, right? If you wanted to run for the president of the United States today, you have to be okay with 46 or 49% of the people hating you because you're blue or red, because you're Dem or Republican, because you're this or that, right? I had an opportunity to go into the political side of things back in the day when I was running town council of Windsor and president of this and that, asked me to run for the mayors in Windsor. I was like, dude, I don't want 50% of people hate me just because they voted for Sue instead of Randy. I'm just not into that. But that's the cost of doing business in that environment, right? We have the same cost of doing business in our environment. You have to pick your tribe and make raving fans out of them that track with you personally, okay? So you'll see the message today is very clear, right? It's all going to be about mindset in this market and then your activities around that mindset. Me personally, I think I'm a level 9.5 when it comes to optimism and hope and belief. And I have different levels. I have belief in my company's a 10, belief in my skill set's a 9, belief in all these other things of what I'm good at or what I'm not, have different levels, and I have to shore them up appropriately. But don't say it out loud, but think of it right now. What is your belief around the market? And if it's not a 10 in opportunity, then I'd say recalibrate that. Because if you said, I'm a 7, that's a cop out, by the way. You can't say 7, 6 or 8. A 7's always the cop out number. And I guarantee only on this small call, we had somebody say a 7, guarantee it. So be real about that. So when you look at this, you go, I'm like a 6 in this market. I need to work on that. And then identify, why am I a 6? Well, the interest rates are ridiculous. Look at statistics, look at the historical figures, find out 6% still a great rate, right? It's the best rate we've had in the last 10 years. Well, I take that back. It's the rate that we've seen actively for the last 10 years. 2.5 is not normal, right? Below prime is not normal. But if you look, 6% is kind of in the wheelhouse of what we started seeing in, by the way, 2012 to 16. And then they started really falling off. I don't care. I don't want to talk about the 80s. I don't want to talk about they were 19%. We should be happy. I don't like that either. Right? But the reality is 6% is still good money. And I want to talk about language, right? So what do you say? And you guys could take your mics off. What do you say when your client says, well, I'm really worried about 6% rates. I'm going to wait till things get better, right? What do you say to that as a response?
Randy?
Yes.
My verbiage has changed dramatically in the past week because I've been trying to deal with the change in the market. And we've all had buyers over the last 2 years that were fighting an uphill climb. Yep. And it didn't matter how good the interest rate was, didn't matter how excited they were about buying a home. In some cases, in some areas, it was just not going to happen for them. They were getting outbid by cash. They had a house they needed to sell that they couldn't make a non-contingent offer with. They can compete now. They have a market. So all these people that couldn't buy are now buyers. And they now have an opportunity to get a home and get a great home that they couldn't get a year ago. And so for me, it's exciting when I have the conversations with them now. It's like, hey, it's finally your turn. So
yeah, and you know what? You're going to 100% accurate, Patrick, and you have to combat what they're hearing everywhere else, right?
Right.
And so sometimes state in the office, obviously, Patrick, you're going to hear everything out there. It's just a lot of white noise about how bad things are and the $5 gas and inflation, all this stuff. That's all accurate. But in the housing envelope, it's your day. We're not quite to a buyer's market. We're heading that way, but today's the best time to buy because the rates are trending up. But I want you to marry the house and date your rate. And the other day I said accidentally, date your rate. And I'm like, oh God, date your rate. I need to say it slowly because it just rolls off my tongue for some reason. But marry the house and then refinance later, right? Date the rate, 6, 6.5, 7, doesn't matter. Where appreciation beneficially is still continuing and trending up. So when you're having conversations with buyers, say, luckily, the trend is that the values are still climbing, not at the crazy 18, 20% pace, but we're looking at 2 or 3%, which is normal, by the way. It's healthy. So if we could just focus on the rate as a short-term solution, you're dating your rate and you're really looking to marry the house. So let's find the house you want. Now you've got an opportunity to get into it like you never have. You're getting more power. You could actually do inspections now. You could actually ask for an appraisal instead of waiving appraisal gaps and all these things that we had to do in the past.
And on the right house that's been listed a few weeks without a reduction, you can ask for a seller credit to pay down your rate.
100%.
Get your rate right to where it needs to be to get your payment. You could not do that 6 months ago.
Exactly. It was impossible to do over even the last 24 months. Inventory is also creeping up. So you got more opportunities and more things to look at. You could be a lot more, aggressive with your offers and, really focus on being creative with your offers, things that are applying to your buyer's needs. And so just impressing upon them the importance of that is critical. And on the other side of the coin, the seller's conversations has changed dramatically as well, right? The seller conversations in the past are different than they are today. And again, we need to be the bride, not the bridesmaid, because in this market, the competition's increasing the gap. And so as a seller, if they're not the bride and they become the bridesmaid, especially over and over and over, that could lead to tens of thousands of dollars in lost income and lost, profit. Okay. So any comments on this, anything before we kind of move on from this particular topic? So if you believe that, right, now it's time to focus on business plan. What are you going to do within your business plan to step it up a notch? Right? And nobody's watching. You're an entrepreneur. You might have a brokerage you're affiliated with. You might have a team. It doesn't matter. It's your goals to yourself. What are your family's goals? What do you want to achieve? And so when we look at that, everybody on the call will be different. Depending on where you're at in your careers and what your needs are and what your goals and hopes are, we have to look at that of what is your bare minimum standard that you're willing to provide in your business? Is it 40 hours a week? Is it 2 hours of power hour a day? Is it door knocking is what you're going to focus on? Then you focus on 100 doors a day, a century day, we call it, when you knock on 100 doors a day. These are key performance indicators we can measure now. If you do a KPI on door knocking, if you knock on 100 doors a day, that's a KPI, that's 500 a week. Mathematically, we don't know how many people will answer the call, answer the door, be willing to talk to you until you do enough of those. Then we could start figuring out a formula. And then we can work it through the mathematics to say, hey, Jason, over the last 4 weeks, you've been totally consistent walking 100 doors a day, 500 a week, 2,000 in the last month. And out of 2,000, 60 people answered the door. And out of those 60, 10 had a good real estate conversation with you. That math, then we can do it the second month and start looking at that from a budget standpoint. And then we can fine tune that over time. And that's without any, without any really fight to that. We could prove that to be true if you do it consistently over time. The challenge is inconsistency gets us out of the ability to be in that space, because then we really don't know. Same thing with calls. We can get better in our language. We can get better in our prospecting by scripts and objection handling, but the numbers are consistently going to continue to grow. So then you can measure that. I can tell you from over my client coaching, the unsolicited CMA is incredibly powerful. I think it's the number one thing right now. There's a lot of things that will create energy in your business. HomeBot's a great thing for following up with buyers, but right now I want to focus on the one thing that's probably the most valuable is unsolicited CMAs. And this will be the last topic I talk about today. Unsolicited CMAs are by far the best ROI in your business right now, because it's a seller-based conversation, which leads to both. But the conversation is they want to understand what's going on with their house, even if they don't want to sell. And so the math on this, and through my coaching clients, is in the old way of doing CMA, calls where you just call and send them a free CMA, or you're asking them to provide them a free CMA. It's about 1 in 40 are willing to have that conversation with you. And if you change the language and the narrative a little more to say, I've already done the CMA, I just want to provide it to you. I just want to deliver it to you. It's already done. We did it because we're doing a broader CMA for your neighborhood. And then you drop, hey, the 123 Banana Street just sold, and you're at 187 Banana Street. And so we did a CMA on your property as part of this grander CMA, right? To stay in integrity, make sure you do a CMA for the neighborhood prior to your calling. But then you're just saying, hey, I've already done it. I was just curious. Do you want me to send it to you, or do you want me to drop it in the trash? I'm unattached, right? It's also a better conversation because you're not looking for the objection. You're just looking for them to say yes or no. And we're seeing about 20% of the people saying yes to that. So now we're 2 out of 10 instead of 1 out of 40. We were seeing as high as 4 out of 10. 40% of the people were responding favorably to having that thing dropped off, sent to them in an email or otherwise. Right. And the next objection is, well, I don't want to give you my email, just drop it off. That's another way to handle that. Hey, Jason, this is like a 56-page color report, interactive on when you look at it through an email. And if I print it out, frankly, it's just not as sexy. So would you mind giving me an email? I won't abuse it. Right. And then that leads you to another 80% of getting the email address after that one objection. Right. So skill set wise, I want you guys to just wrap your head around this. But again, if you move your level of belief in the market up and get out of those fearful conversations. So based on what I'm talking about, calling sellers or calling people in a farm and using your phone to be prospecting based, what comes up for you immediately? Give me some objections that come up for you immediately that is a fear-based objection, because we all have them. What is it that comes up for you guys?
Time in the follow-up. It's like I should spend time with following up more with what I have. I keep taking on more and more and more.
Okay, great takeaway. So why are you having a problem with the follow-up? It's probably a lack of a system. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it.
Okay. So if you know this exists, may I have permission to coach you in this setting? And I'm willing to take it off record for you if you want me to.
That's fine.
Okay. I just want to be permission based on this particular call. So Anna, what you have to focus on is a system that takes that out of you being the problem, right? You're in a funnel and you're choking the funnel up because you've added a lot of things on the top, but now you have a choke point in your funnel and you don't have a system to free that choke point up to allow you to put more into it. Because in this market, you have to continue to put more into it. So that choke point for you, in my humble opinion, without asking a lot of questions, is a system that's a follow-up automation.
I agree.
KV Core has it. KV Core has it. And if you are using KV Core,
I've been having such a hard time with it. Every time I try to get support on it, I just get the bot and no actual person to help with it. It's been extremely challenging.
It is extremely challenging. So I'm going to give you a coach that's extremely inexpensive, Shannon Pyatt. Shannon Pyatt's a friend of mine. I think for $99, he'll put you through a multi-hour KV Core course and help you specifically.
But then I have to take the time to create the templates and the campaigns, and that's.
Yeah, but you have a choice. You don't have to, and then you could have this choke point in your business forever. And you can tell I'm being a little facetious, but the issue is, yes, you have to do this. This is a critical thing for your business, it sounds like. So in my world, I will tell you that if you committed probably 4 hours of your life to this one task, not 20 tasks, don't get the umbrella going where it's like, yeah, but I don't have a CMA either. And I don't have what that Randy said, just one thing, right? Stay laser focused on one path. And that's to get a system that allows automation follow-up for that particular lead gen piece. Buyer, seller, probably have 2 campaigns.
Okay. Okay, I'll text you for her number if that's okay afterwards.
Shannon Pyatt, if you look him up on, and it's Shannon, it's a guy.
Oh.
Shannon, I think his last name's Piatt. Look him up on Workplace and just message him and say Randy Byrd recommended him.
Okay.
Super solid KV Core trainer. I do KV Core training, but I don't have the bandwidth for it right now. But I will promise you that there are others that, and KV Core, the one good thing about KV Core, if that's your CRM, is it's got a significant amount of YouTube and things you could look up. They have a training program, but you just have to dive into that. You have to be committed to doing it. And it really is not that difficult. It's just hard because we don't know what to do and how to start.
It's an added level of frustration because I operate in California and Hawaii, and I've signed up for them for the additional so I can use it in both places. And it's been a mess, and I can't get a hold of tech support to.
It is a mess, and there's no good solution for that within KV Core. Unfortunately, I have 5 MLSs, and it's a struggle. The struggle bus is real. So, but for you specifically, focus on your number 1 market, which is Hawaii, correct? Mm-hmm. Get that dialed in first, number 1, and then we could focus on California secondarily. All right. Okay. But again, what I want to focus on is let's try to remove your frustration for a minute. Go back to 0, go back to neutral, right? Get where you're excited that you've now been coached of what the one solution thing to change is. And that will build momentum in your moving forward, and you'll lose that frustration as you grow. And then you'll get optimism and hope because you've lost the frustration around it.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Shannon.
Yeah, he's a great one to help you. I'll help you if I can, obviously. But here's my recommendation for anybody that is listening or may listen in the future for this. Write down on paper what a perfect flow of follow-up is for a short period, maybe a 90-day period, right? Because that's only maybe once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever your cadence is of a perfect follow-up system. If you had one customer to look at and you could nail it with one customer, right? That's how you want to design this flow. And then say on day 1, hey, thanks for the conversation. Here's all my numbers. I'll be in touch with you gently. And then maybe it's 7 days later. Hey, it's Anne-Marie just checking in. You're part of my inner circle. I just want to make sure I'm taking care of you. I don't want to be too much, whatever it is. And then maybe the third thing is a phone call reminder. You set that up in the system. Put this all on paper. What's the perfect outline of the next 90 days for this client to give them an A+ experience? And then let the automation widgets kind of take over with that by programming what to do and how to remind you. What I find is the challenge is when people set these automations up, then they don't have the discipline within the automation to make sure they make that phone call, and then things stack up, and then they're back in the choke point again. But that's a different choke point. Now you've corrected the choke point in your funnel. Now it's lower. We could correct that again, right? So we just keep stepping through these choke points until we have flow in our business. Fair enough? And I will commit to you. I'll help you if you run into a roadblock with Shannon or otherwise. But thank you for being vulnerable. That I get it. But this is something that is is going to be things that move the needle in your business very quickly when you do this. And your business depends on it. Okay. Who else?
Brady, I have a question.
Yes.
When you're doing the unsolicited CMA calls, it might be an easy answer. I just don't know. How do you get the seller's phone number?
So it's not that easy of an answer. So title companies have access to emails and phone numbers, but only the national title companies. We actually ran into this morning where we were trying to get the title company to give us information, but it can't be a local title company. It's got to be a national. Ticor, First American Title, Chicago Titles, it's got a national footprint. So I'd go to your title rep in your area, and they have the ability to run it through their system. And I was told this morning it's about 73% accurate. So that's pretty darn good. If you could give them 100 names to get 73 emails and phone numbers, that's pretty accurate. Okay. So national, First American, that kind of national title companies can get these lists for you for free.
Awesome.
The paid version of this is CoreLogic, Mojo Dialer. There's several others that can get you the data. Rich, you're in the lending space. Who do you guys use for content data?
CoreLogic.
Yeah, CoreLogic.
And then, yeah, there's another service that we use, Cole Realty Resource.
Cole Realty Resource is correct. Those are the two that I use. And then Mojo and some of them have their own system. It's like a reverse number lookup and stuff.
Property Radar, it's another one. It's
Property Radar. Yeah, I'd say that's another opportunity. And then they have an additional thing you buy that gives more phone numbers and email addresses. What you don't want is don't Google how to find email addresses. You're going to get the companies that try to sell you 10,000 email addresses. Not what you're looking for. You're looking for a specific address, name, and then you want the email and phone number for it.
Okay.
And again, Christian, when you're building this database, it becomes hugely powerful because then we could retarget through Facebook. We could upload lists to social media, and it really increases your odds and frequency of them seeing you.
Okay. I talked to JC last week with Chicago. Do you think she'll be able to do that?
I'm not positive about Chicago. Is she at Chicago now, by the way?
Yeah, she started her own thing.
Oh, I love it.
I
love JC. She's one of my favorite on the planet. But title reps move around a lot of it. It's just a nature of the business. You know, they get what's the kind word for it? Scalped or headhunted all the time.
Yeah. I have a system with REI Pro that I can skip trace, but you have to pay for it. So I was just trying to figure out how to not.
Yeah, I was gonna recommend Ben Verified's another great one. It's like $19 a month, and it's really good for email addresses and phone numbers. And then you have to pay a little more to get into but there's PI level stuff you guys could buy for $50 a month. It's actually concerning. Okay. So don't ever let this be the thing that keeps you from doing what you want to do. If you're committed to this, find a way, right? You could be a PI for $99, by the way, and get a license. So depending on how aggressive you're wanting to go towards this, you could go to whatever level you want. But there are particular programs that are the equivalent of being a private investigator, and you could look at tax records for $100 a month.
Wow.
Okay. So, it's just about you being tenacious and finding it. All right. Actually, this helped me because I forgot about that. Ben Verified and some of those other programs, Nikita, we were talking about this morning. Those are programs that are very, very useful. And I used them in my real estate career and just forgot this morning we were talking about it. Spokio is another one, correct? So there's quite a few. Yes, Rich.
Yeah, so we work a lot with Fidelity, and I think Chicago owns Fidelity or vice versa, but they've got Fidelity Farms. They've got a couple of tools. They call it Title Toolbox. Yep. Fidelity does.
Yep. That's also Ticor has that. Fidelity, Chicago, I think, is in the national.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool. The reps that are really good know how to use it. You can really leverage some good help from those reps. If they're in it and they're using that as a tool to help bring escrow business to their companies. We have a guy we work with in our market who's been doing it for over 20 years. He's amazing, but man, he really helps a lot with farm stuff like that and getting emails and phone numbers and stuff where you can.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I don't know if you guys know, most of the people on the call probably are familiar with KV Core or have it. I'm going to share my screen for a minute and show you something. But when you are when you are looking at KV Core, and let me just go to a contact real quick. Let me just pull up somebody. So Sandra Penrod, okay? Everybody see this contact okay on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, don't know her, have no idea about her. I don't even know when she came in my database. Looks like she's been in here actually for a little bit. But if you see this little ribbon right here, when you click that, it validates the contact, and it will tell you if there's any contact information that came up, the validation. So validation's been run on her email quality, excellent, female. She's in Petaluma. She works at NetEase Incorporated. That's not that much information, but it's quite a bit. Now watch this. On the more actions, click on this. You can go down and look at all of her social media right here. So here's her Facebook profile. I've never looked at this before, by the way. So there she is. Was that her name? I forgot already. Let me look. Sandra Penrod. So not Penfold. So Sandra Penrod, it could be her. There's several others we don't know yet. So we start looking. Is she in Petaluma? Really doesn't show anything about her. So I don't know yet, right? So let's go to the next thing. Let's go to Google. Here's Sandra Penrod on Google. Lily, James Penrod Dental Care, possibly, but that's in Santa Margarita. This is in Danville. So I continue looking for things that look like it might be in Petaluma. Nothing there. Let's go to the next thing. Let's go on LinkedIn. Okay, it looks like St. Louis, Missouri. That doesn't look like her. Sandra Penrod. This one's a homemaker with only one view. So not a lot of love there. Let's go to the next one. On Pipple, you have to sign in to use that. That won't work. Here's one on Spokio. Okay, I'm going to delete that. It takes about 5 minutes for that to find it, and it's trying to sell you something. So she did not show up a lot of additional results. So the next thing I could do is go and copy her name into Google and then put in something like Petaluma, because that showed up on her email search. So then I get this US phone book. She's 80 years old. So now I could try and determine to see if that's really her, right? And by the way, here's a phone number. Here's an email address. Here's a PO box. Here's some, and this is all free. I haven't even put in a penny yet, right? Here's the relatives of her. You got 5 relatives. So guess what? Now you can go to Calvin and see if Calvin is at the same location. He's not. See how much work you could do for free on Google. So she's in Petaluma. She's age 80. And I believe that probably is her. So now if you had been verified or something, you could plug that information in there and get another layer of information on her. That's all just from running this quick thing on her email address. You could also take her email address only, copy that into Google, and go down another path, right? Here's True People Search found her with that email. LinkedIn found her front office coordinator in El Paso, Texas. So I don't know about that, but it looked like it had an email that triggered on that. But you can see in just a couple minutes, I could do all that. So if she's not I have no phone in her system, but I have her email. Well, it had a phone number that came up on the other page. So I could call that. Hey, is this Sandra Penrod in Petaluma? And continue to go through that, being tenacious in your ability, right? So that's just one person. Watch this. Judy Clausen. Let's try it again. Okay, Judy Clausen, same thing. I'm going to revalidate it. It says there's a phone number and an email in here. So no additional details found. So it's already validated at the beginning, right? So now let's watch this. Let's go into Facebook. And Judy Clausen is, let's see, she's looking at stuff in Albany, Oregon. So she's probably in Oregon. So I'm looking for somebody in Oregon. This one's in British Columbia, probably not. This one I could look at her profile, hit about. Again, a lot of people are blocking a lot of their information, so I don't know if that's her yet. So I can go to the next thing, find on Google, Benton County, that's likely her. So now she's staffing and recruiting professional in Benton County, which is where I'm looking at. I don't have a lot more information on her, but all I have is her LinkedIn profile. She hasn't posted anything recently. And so I'm kind of striking out with that as well. Go to the next thing and try to find her on, did I do Google already? I don't remember. Yeah, I found her there. And so again, you could see how much we could do with this system if we just spend a little bit of time in it. And that was just a tiny snapshot of what you can find out and start digging in and getting a little more information as you go. Is that helpful? Okay. So any other things I could help you guys with today?
That's a full-time job. Do you do that yourself, or does an assistant do it?
Which part?
The tracing, the following of the
So I
investigation.
do leverage most of that. But the reality is I have to do it sometimes too when I'm trying to follow up with people. Agents are easy to find. You can find any agent in the 1.6 million agents. I can find their name, phone number, email address, everything I want on them immediately, because agents have to promote that to get calls into their system. Now, they may have the phone number to the office and they may have a generic email address and some different things, but I guarantee you can find it. But with people, it's a little harder, but it's easier than it's ever been. It's actually scary easy. So don't let that be a deterrent. Just be tenacious and just don't take no for an answer, and start with a title company because it's free and they'll do it for you. Don't abuse them. Don't give them 10,000 names. Give them 500, 100, 1,000 max maybe, and then have them work on that list for you. Right? But number one, you should always be farming your personal neighborhood. That's number one. Right? So whether you have 100 houses or 500 houses around you, that's your neighborhood. There's nothing worse than a for sale sign going up on your street, right? There's nothing worse, trust me. But that's your first farm you should develop. So that's something you could be working on now to let everybody know that you're a professional realtor in their neighborhood. And, that's an opportunity to start building on that database. If you have a big database that you feel like you're putting a lot of people into, like Anna, and you just have a choke point, then focus on that choke point to really develop a system. And again, one of the most powerful things to do within KV Core, I'm going to show you again as we end up, because we talked about KV Core. One of the most powerful things, you can see Judy is in Albany, Oregon. She just came on my website. Looks like she's been in my website for a while. So all the ones since March, right? So she's been looking at things. She's fairly active if you look at this. I've never spoke to her. I have a phone number here, but it looks like it may be unsubscribed. So I don't want to call her number yet, but she's on a property alert for single family homes at 367. And she's on a market report. This is done automatically within KV Core. It does it for you because it knows that as agents, we get busy. So these are automatic. She's getting a market report every 14 days, and she's getting an active alert on any properties around 367. The next thing you can do is launch a campaign. And this is what you were talking about, Ann, right? So what I did, Anna, is I developed a campaign for buyers in Sonoma County, buyers in Redding, California, where my team is. And then I have Albany, Oregon, Corvallis. So I hit buyer, Corvallis, and I hit add, and it automatically launches that campaign. I'm doing nothing else. But if you look in her contact, it's going to launch that campaign. And then it's going to do all these things in that campaign that I pre-established. So let me see, it's called Buyer Albany. Let me show you my campaign real quick. So Smart Campaigns, I'm going to go Albany. And for some of the people on the call that are in my team, we'll be setting these up for you as we progress. But here's what the campaign looks like. In 10 minutes, it's going to send her a text saying, hi, whatever her first name was. I see you're looking for homes on our site, or we connected on Zillow. I just want to say hi and pass my contact info as we may be able to help. This is my information, right? That's on in 10 minutes. She will get that from right now. Okay. In 3 days, she's going to get an email from me that says, hey, if it's helpful, I'd be more than willing to walk you through a couple of the properties with you. Let me know, right? Super simple. No pressure either way. It's meant to be gentle. And then on this particular program, which this has got to be fixed, I could see on day 25, she gets another one. So I hope you're having a great day. I want to check in and see if you have any questions so far. The whole goal for this is not to let something, oh, I skipped down. That's why. So 15 minutes, she gets an email. So text in 10 minutes, email in 15. And it basically says the same thing. Hey, it's Randy Byrd from the Birdhouse team and a welcome video, right? So let me see if I shared with sound and I'll play the welcome video. Share with sound, I did. So in 15 minutes, she gets the email that says this. And I already see a problem. I got Sonoma Napa on here. I got to change it. Hey, it's Randy Byrd, real estate broker. And I just wanted to shoot you a quick 30-second message and say, number one, thanks for coming on our site, looking at some homes. We don't want to be too much for you. So just take it as slow as you like. But I wanted to put a face to a name and support you if you have any questions along the way, or if you want to see that particular house or others. Okay. But anyway, it's Randy Byrd, real estate broker, eXp Realty, and I'm happy to help you if we can. Have a great day. And I thought I'd just shoot you a personal message. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. Okay. Hey, it's Randy Byrd, real estate. So I noticed a problem that my video is titled Properties Looking at Sonoma Napa. That's when I built the video and then I used it for Albany. So I got to change that. But you see how I did what Christian was doing, which is introduction little emails, right? So by the way, automated. This goes automated, but it looks like it's filmed today potentially. And then again, in 3 days, they get another email. Hey, did you get my video? And as soon as they respond and say yes, I put them in a hot, warm, or cold campaign to follow up with them. Okay. So hopefully this is making some sense for you. Don't let it be overwhelming. Just start slow. Listen, it doesn't matter if your whole automation's only got 3 things. Just, hi, this is me, and this is my number. Hey, it's been 3 days. I was just seeing if you got my last text message. And then a week later, hey, I just don't want to be too much. Let me know if you want me to delete you or if you want to stay access to my site. And then depending on the response, you could launch another campaign that takes them down path A or path B or whatever it may be. Okay. So I'd encourage you to focus on video in your messaging. That gives another personal touch. Send the automations to yourself so you can check them to make sure you don't make a mistake, right? Because I'm sending an Albany buyer something that says Sonoma Napa. Now everything says I'm licensed in both states and I have teams in both states, but that's a mistake. That needs to be corrected. Okay. All good? All right. I appreciate you all being here. If you have any needs or anything along the way, let me know. And I'll be here every week for you. Next week's 4th of July won't be here. I'll be somewhere in the sun. But other than national holidays, I'll be here. All right. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Bye for now. Crush the week. You bet.